Today, I'm going to be answering the question everybody's been asking about, do I need to pay the buyer's agent? This is coming from my years of experience helping hundreds of families buy and sell their homes. I've helped tenants, I've helped investors. I'm a real estate investor myself, and I'm licensed in 2 states, those being Illinois and Wisconsin. So let's jump into it. Do I need to pay the buyer's agent? Well, that really depends on who's asking the question. Are you the buyer or are you the seller? And to preface, I'll be answering the questions from both perspectives, lay out all of your options, and so by the time you're done watching this video, you'll be able to make an educated decision on how you want to buy or sell your next home, regardless of what side of the transaction you happen to be on. So again, do I need to pay the buyer's agent? Well, let's start with the perspective of the seller. And the short answer of it all is no. You are not required to pay the buyer's agent, and you never had to. And to make myself absolutely clear, commissions are 100% negotiable. You are not required by law. There is no policies, no rules or regulations. No one is forcing you to pay someone that you never hired. Now, let's not get that confused with the fact that you have the option to pay an agent who brings you a buyer for your home, which, don't get me wrong, there's definitely pros and cons to whether you decide to take on that option or even if you decide against it. But before I get into all of that, let me break down exactly what you're paying for when you are the seller. So let's say you want to sell your house. You call me and you're like, hey, Elliot, I'm thinking about selling my house. How do we go about doing that? And I say, cool, I'm more than happy to help you out with that. So in short, I send over my marketing options ahead of time. We schedule a day to come through, take a look at the condition of your house. We have a great consultation. And by that point, we would agree on a negotiable compensation structure, AKA what you're paying me to market, negotiate, and sell your house. You could either pay a percentage, a flat rate, whatever you decide based on the services that you decide to hire me for. Now, to quickly expand on that, unlike many other real estate agents out there, or at least the ones that I personally know, I like to give my clients options because if I'm not giving you options, I'm pretty much giving you an ultimatum. And when it comes to selling real estate, it is not a one-size-fits-all process. So in the past, what majority of sellers have probably heard from other agents was, I'll sell your home for X%, and for that, you get professional photos, I'll post on social media, I'll do an open house, and whatever else they said they were going to do. But going back to you selling your house and discussing negotiable commissions, you and I have to agree on a service rate for the services that I provide. Now, where I want to make myself absolutely clear is there is no set standard for real estate commissions, meaning there is no price fix on that. So to take that example a step further, let's say something stupid like Sally down the road over at ABC Real Estate might be willing to do all that stuff for $1, but look, I'm not dumb. There is no way in hell that is a sustainable business model. Look, I'm all for helping people, but at the end of the day, no one starts a business to not make money. It just makes no sense. So, for example, you might say, hey, Elliot, look, I like you, man. I'm willing to work with you, but Sally's willing to do it down the road for $1. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, hey, listen, man, I like you too, but I'm not doing all that for $1. I, just like many others that I know in this industry, have standards and set limitations. And just like how you can ask me for a discount, I can come back and say no. Now, real estate services, commissions, it's an open market of fair game. So to sum it all up, you hire me to sell your home, we're going to agree on a rate that goes with the level of service that I provide. You are hiring a listing agent to help you sell your home. So where does all this talk of paying a buyer's agent come in? Well, in short, there's a section on the listing agreement where you have the option to compensate a real estate agent who brings you a buyer who purchases your home. And this option's always been there, even back when I started my career in 2008. Because the reality is the agent that you hired to sell your house probably won't have a buyer for your house. And unlike Illinois and Wisconsin, in some states, representing both the buyer and the seller in the same transaction is actually illegal. So in the past, a creative way that sellers tried to sell their home quickly and for top dollar was by providing an incentive by paying an amount or a percentage of the sales price to any agent who brought over a buyer. And sadly, somewhere along the way, this incentive became lost in translation to the point where many real estate agents out there created this illusion that home sellers will be paying their fee on the behalf of their own clients. And yes, I've personally heard this firsthand. I'll expand here in a second when I'm talking about the buyer's perspective, but here's the breakdown, aka the realities, if you will, of the pros and cons whether you decide to take on the incentive to pay the buyer's agent or not. So some of you might be asking, what are the pros of this? Well, the pro is the more you offer the buyer's agent for compensation, the more interest you'll get on the house. I mean, it's as simple as that because think of it this way. The buyers have to pay their agents as well. It's no different than paying a lender to do their job for their fees. You're paying the title company to do their job, and they've got their fees. So at the end of the day, it's simply just another line item that the buyers have to pay for. So as a seller, if you're willing to take some of that financial burden off the buyer, you're going to attract more buyers. Of course, assuming that you've done everything else right, like pricing the house, fixing it up, all that good stuff. Now, the negative to not offering compensation, or the con, if you will, is the polar opposite of everything I just mentioned. Because the reality of the situation is there are buyers out there that just don't have the budget to pay an agent, which is a totally different conversation in itself, or they simply just don't want to pay their own agent, which attracts less buyers to your listing. So however you look at it, regardless of what people tell you, what other real estate agents tell you, what the media tells you, because we all know that they're not helping the situation, as a seller, it is 100% up to your own discretion how much you wish to pay your agent and any other cooperating agent too. You could offer the buyer's agent what some would call the customary rate, which around here is 2.5%, or you can offer absolutely nothing. Or maybe you try to find a happy medium somewhere where you get the home sold, but again, 100% your call. Now, there are a bunch of different ways that this could be handled, and this is always a conversation that I have with my clients during the consultation process. So if you're interested in learning about those different strategies that I recommend to my clients, be on the lookout for a video that I'll be dropping here shortly. I'll be sure to drop a lot of our best practices that have been working for our clients. But moving on to the buyer's perspective, do I need to pay the buyer's agent? Well, yeah, you hired them, so that means you are responsible for paying the help that you hired. And just like negotiating the fee for the listing agents, you have the ability to negotiate for the fee of the agent representing you. Again, there's no law against it. There's no rules and regulation. There's no price fix on it. However, you've got to remember that negotiation goes both ways. So for example, when it comes to helping my buyers, I have a minimum standard. I'm not representing a client unless I know I'm going to make a certain amount. It is what it is. I have a bottom line. And the reason I have a bottom line is because it takes a lot more effort to help buyers. And boy, let me tell you, especially in the current market or the post-COVID market, you got to show them house after house. You got to drive from appointment to appointment and potentially draft offer after offer. It is more demanding and more time consuming working with a buyer than it is working with a seller, especially in the post-COVID market. So if a buyer is interested in working with me, they can try to negotiate all they want. But again, I have a standard. I know how much work I'm willing to do for a certain amount. And don't mistake that for arrogance, please. I'm just saying that some buyers require more work than others, and there's always a line to be drawn between expectations and compensation. My going rate's not going to be the same for every buyer that's out there. And just like selling homes, buying homes is not a one-size-fits-all process. Some will require more time, some will require more energy, some will require more hand-holding. So when it comes down to it, I know how much work I'm willing to do, the same way the buyer knows how much they're willing to pay for. And at the end of the day, I'm not always going to be the best fit for someone. I'm not the best fit for everyone, and I'm okay with that. The same way that I encourage every buyer to realize that, again, every agent out there is not the best fit for them. But with all that said, everyone has the right to negotiate the fees for their hired help. You just got to find a happy medium. Now, just like how I'm going to make another video to help sellers navigate this whole thing, I'll be sure to make another video to help buyers navigate the buy side. So be sure to subscribe, hit that like notification, hit that little icon so you'll know when the next video drops. But the most important thing I want to stress, if you're going to take anything away from this video, is read the paperwork and the contracts that you are signing. This whole NAR lawsuit, confusion on the new policies, confusion on the old policies, all of it would have been avoided if people just took the time to read the freaking paperwork. This goes for buyers, this goes for sellers, and most importantly, this goes for real estate agents too, because we're all consenting adults. We all know how to read the paperwork. I know so many real estate agents out there that have never fully taken time to read the contracts, and they're requiring their own clients to sign something that they actually never read themselves, nor do they actually understand what they're asking them to sign. So again, please read the paperwork. But with that said, before you get out of here, let me know your thoughts. I know everyone's got their own thoughts on this whole subject. Do you agree with the current standards? Do you agree with my 2 cents? Do you disagree? Drop a comment, leave a like, subscribe. Be sure to look out on to the next video. And thank you for sticking around. You can tell I've got a little bit of cold here, so it's been a little bit of a difficult video to make. But yeah, be on the lookout for the next video, and I will see you on the next one.